It's said, you know, that His Majesty the King and, of course, Prince William, the Prince of Wales, have a better relationship than ever. And I think you can see that. And in particular, I'm loving the way that, in fact, the royal family are splitting each other up. And I mean that in the kindest of ways. But we saw a wonderful sort of, visit, charity thing, whatever, with Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, and Prince William together. And you can see that she's very much caretaking him and looking after him, I don't think she's quite realised he's grown up and all that sort of stuff. But it's a lovely, lovely sort of partnership, and it works really well together. And you can see that they get on. And I think this is exactly how the monarchy have moved forward. Whatever people think, Harry felt it alongside Meghan that this would be the end. After all, they were the new monarchy now. What we're seeing is a totally different setup under His Majesty the King. But not everything changes, and some might say not everything changes for the better. As ever, let me explain. Morning, chums. Lovely to see you today here on a very rainy day in London town. I've just managed to find this beautiful owl cave here to sort of stand in because it's just non-stop. You know what I'm saying? I can say this to you, we're chums. The minute you get your brolly down, bang, we're off again. And it just becomes insufferable in the end, doesn't it? You think, shall I just stay in? This is June. I want to get out there and enjoy the summer. I'm fed up now already, but the pollen's gone down, so yes, there are bonuses. Not many, but a couple, right? Now, what's interesting here, well, it's lovely to share, isn't it? This is the thing. By the way, I'm glad you all agree with me about somebody said, by the way, they didn't have Jammie Dodgers in their area. The old Jammie Dodgers, yeah, you're missing something. Today's, I just keep them in emergencies. You know what I'm saying? I like them, but they're not what they were. But what is? Do let me know if you've bought a product recently that still remains the same, flavour, taste, thickness, all that sort of stuff. Even Greek yogurt, it fell off the spoon the other night, and I thought, what's thick about this? Other than the price, right? Now let's get back to your royal story of the day. This, as I say, kind of interested me in many respects because as many people have asked me previously, and I made a video about this, about royal warrants. And as we know, His Majesty the King quite recently decided to strip Cadbury's of their royal warrant because, I think he fancied a change. And let's be blunt, Cadbury's is now rubbish, if I'm honest. No flavour, no taste to it at all. This is my opinion. I'm allowed it. You buy these things like the caramel bar, and there's like a tiny dot that you would need a microscope to find it with. And you think, why bother? Because you're just going to ruin an amazing brand. When I was in York recently, as you know, we went past the old Terry's factory where they made Terry's chocolate orange and all that. That's all done in another country now. And you think, wow, these great British brands that were started here completely obliterated. And that's the sad thing. This is part of the battle between His Majesty the King and, of course, his eldest son, Prince William. You see, as you know, Charles has given out quite a few of his royal warrants. And now, because of his position as the Prince of Wales, alongside Catherine, the Princess of Wales, they're allowed to come up with royal warrants for themselves. The problem is, according to a well-placed source, that the idea really is that Catherine and William want to go down a totally different route. You see, most of the royal warrants go in part to a lot of the established things that have gone on for years. And William and Catherine apparently want to sort of find more sustainable, entrepreneurial new businesses. Now, according to the source, you see, His Majesty the King is saying, yeah, I'm all up for that, not against that, but a lot of these businesses need to be able to sustain a period of great business because otherwise they're continually changing the warrant, you see. And I think that's a really valid point from him. I think there should be a timeline of 10 years of successful trading. Apparently this didn't go down too well. Yes, William can be stubborn, let's be blunt. And apparently he said, well, no, I like these ideas. So at this moment in time, there are a little bit of locked horns. So I'll throw it over to you really and say, well, what do you think to that? I mean, should that be the case? Or would, of course, a royal warrant lift maybe a struggling business through the roof? It does help. Particularly in export and all that sort of stuff. If you say, I've got a royal warrant, or you can put that on your headed paper or your email and stuff, it simply does help. But clearly, William and Catherine want to do things a little bit differently. Should they, or should they adhere to exactly what His Majesty the King and, of course, our late and brilliant monarch, Queen Elizabeth, did before that? It's interesting, isn't it? What do you think, though? Let me know as ever, and be polite, and if you can, like and share. I'm off to get my brolly out. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.